validation. Now we know one of our tables, test table 1, has a blank date of birth record. So we want to find that and identify it. So what we're going to do is, rather than, and the first problem we have is that this table doesn't have a unique key. So what we're going to do is add a unique key at some point along the project steps process. We know that we populate the ESD table. So that's where we're going to add our serial number. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a new column. I'm going to call it unique ID, and we're going to give it a data type of serial. And we're going to add that. Now, if we go back to the table and view it, we can see that our unique ID has been automatically populated as soon as the database added that additional column. We can now use that to reference build no match. So the next thing we're going to do is we need to add that validation into our table. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick our date of birth record, and we're going to tick on the validate box, and we're going to fill in the unique the lookup column that we need to use to identify the record. And in this case, it's the unique ID. By updating that record, we flagged it for validation, and we've got our lookup column to use to report on. We're now in the position where we can now use add in our execution steps. Now, firstly, what we want to do is we want to enable all our steps, and then we want to control where we're going to run this part of our development. So we're going to limit the steps first, and we're going to do that by stopping our steps running after a certain point. And so we're going to stop our steps at 1001.01, which is where we're populating the ESD table, and you can see that all the steps have been disabled after that. We're also going to disable our Excel imports section. So we've just isolated the 3 steps that we want to run on. Now, if we execute the project, we should now see that the table's been populated, and you can see that the serial number, the unique ID, is now incremented further because it's been run again, and that serial number has incremented from 5 now into 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right, so we know that that works. So the next thing we've got to do is we've got to put in a validation step. Now, we want to make sure that we shuffle these existing steps along slightly so that we're not going to have a unique key clash. So what we can do is just update that record and that record so that we've now got the ability to insert a step in between. And that new step is going to be 1002. Actually, I'm going to make that 5 and that 4, because we are going to do two steps. Now, here we're going to add in the new step, which is the data validation. And we're going to validate for nulls on the table. Let me just clear this bit out here. And then we're going to add that. Now, what we can do is we can tell the execution job to stop if there is a data validation error. To do that, we select our record and we go stop on error and update that. Now, if we run this project now, we should get it stopping, and it does. As you can see here, it's failed on that step. We can now go and look at the validation error log and find out what that is. And you can see here at this time that we have one record that has failed. So what we can do, instead of having it fail, is we can just have it to report from the validation error log, and we can add in a new step that identifies what the record is. So to do that, we're going to add another sub-step, and we're going to call it identify invalid records. And what we're going to do is create a select statement on the table, and the column name that we're going to report on is date of birth, is unique ID, and the where column is where date of birth is null. Now, if we add that and run this, we will find that we will get a report showing us what record it is. Now, if we open this here, we can see that it's told us on this particular step that column ID 20 has an invalid date of birth, in fact, that it's null. So if we go back and we can cross-check here and open here, we can see that it's reported on column unique ID 20. So that's a way of being able to identify the invalid record.